Good morning, New Zealand. It is Wednesday morning, middle of the week. If you're watching on YouTube, then make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll get the alerts when we come live on YouTube. But if you're watching on Facebook or on Instagram, actually, I need to go live on Instagram. There we go. Also on Substack, X, LinkedIn. We are everywhere you are. Welcome to Daybreak. It is Wednesday morning. Alrighty, 19th of November, I got some doozy things to talk about this morning, including an ad for Woke University, which you're going to love. And also, we're going to talk about changing nappies. Yeah, and consent. Anyway, I'll come back to that. Look, just breaking news from News Talk ZB yesterday. And that was that apparently nobody wants to hear Oprah Winfrey, and so they've moved to a much smaller venue. This was breaking news on News Talk ZB yesterday. We actually broke this news 18 days ago and said that Oprah had been shifted from a 13,000 seat Spark Arena to the Civic, which has just over 2,000 seats. And we reckon they might end up at the Pump House Theatre with 192 seats if things don't go too well. So, yeah, not looking too good on the old Oprah Winfrey front, but there's an example of the media only 18 days behind our commentary. So if you want to keep up, watch our stuff. Interestingly, in the New Zealand Herald today, two articles. One is this one about transgender in sport. Alice Soper, who is an activist for transgender in sport, with a muddled article and talks about the fact that apparently the only reason genders were broken up into male and female was because of some historical example of a woman turning up in, was it 1908, in skeet shooting. And apparently she beat the dudes. And so the dudes just wanted to break up the male and female categories because they didn't want to be beaten by a girl. Yeah, 1908 skeet shooting. So that was the example. And she goes on to say that basically anybody who wants the division of male and female are just aligning with racist, homophobic and transphobic views. And then brings in the cloud screen of intersex athletes, which of course is so rare, but not only that, just align it with chromosomal aspects, the XX, XY, easily solved. So anyway, that's a very muddled piece from Alice Soper, but the interesting thing is that included is an alternative view from Annie O'Brien, very good commentator, and she says, and she's quoting Roe Edge from Save Women's Sports Australasia, says the International Olympic Committee are unequivocally confirming that physical advantages from being born male persist even after testosterone suppression, rendering fair competition in the female category impossible. And basically says it's a moment of truth and a moment of biology. So look, credit to the Herald, because they've done something quite unique. They've given one view and the opposing view. Wow. Now that's what you actually call media and journalism. Both sides of the debate. Congratulations to the New Zealand Herald. Can I just say that if you are going to read one of them, though, and you've only got time to read one of them, read Annie O'Brien's, because it's based on truth and biology. In fact, Alice Soper's is a little bit like Alice in Wonderland. It's a bit of a fiction and based on ideology. Okay, it wasn't a good day yesterday for the new leader of the Opportunities Party. And Opportunities Party, have you heard of it? Yeah, don't get many votes. Who was the guy? Gareth Morgan was one of the first leaders, didn't like cats. And then there was somebody else in charge of Opportunities Party. I mean, that's just it. Nobody knows. Anyway, they've got a new leader, Kwile Wong, a woman. And she went on the platform with Sean Plunkett yesterday, and she was asked that very tricky question, what is a woman? Did she pass? Well, you be the judge.
Where are you on gender-affirming care, puberty blockers, and the issue of transgenderism?
Honestly, this is an issue that I know means a lot to lots of groups, and I don't want to dismiss that people have strong views about this, but we do really see it as a culture war that is
Oh,
distracting from some of the real issues that we need to talk about, like our infrastructure issues, how we're going to pay for superannuation, how we're going to get out of this economic rut. I think we need to solve those problems
can
first
do both.
and
Okay, well,
focus
let's
on
get it
those as
down. If
things
it's
to
a
talk
culture
about.
war, what about women's rights and women's rights to compete in sport against other women and have safe spaces? Where are you on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think my personal view is that we need to be fair,
Mm.
and I guess that means different things to different people. But
No.
again, I think it's this is an issue that affects a small number of people, and it's not to say that it's not important. But we want to focus. I want to focus this time talking with you and talking with Kiwis about how we're going to solve the big issues. Because
Okay.
when we solve
Well,
those,
I have
the
to
other
ask you,
things
it is
will fade
form that I
away.
have to ask you this question. What
Please
is a
do.
woman?
Oh,
Okay. I will give you my personal opinion,
Mm.
and I would say
no.
it is someone who was born or becomes a biological woman,
Becomes.
Can you
and
become a
that's my personal
biological woman if you weren't born a biological woman?
I think going back to the sport question, there are examples where women can go through a process to have the hormones and everything else and essentially be a woman. Again,
Well,
this
no,
is
no,
not
no,
an
no, no,
issue
no, no. I
that we have
got
any
it, because we're
policies on.
talking reality here. Can someone become a woman if they're born a man? In your opinion?
I think there is I'm not an expert in this. Look, I'm not a doctor, and I'm probably like most Kiwis, and I read articles on these things that inform my view. I'm open to lots of other people's perspectives. Again, I don't think it's an issue that the majority of Kiwis want to be talking about right now, when things like the cost of living and our housing crisis
Uh,
are the things that are smacking us in the face every single day.
All right. Let's move on.
all right. Well, I saw a comment come through from an adult human female. Susie says, train wreck. Okay. Oh, well, if you want to vote for top, do it. Place your vote while you're at Disneyland. Right. Anyway, now this is an interesting one. Newsroom is reporting that schools should no longer need to consult with parents and communities when developing the RSE classes under a proposed law change being put up by the government. But New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters thinks parents should be consulted. So Newsroom is very excited about a disagreement between coalition parties. Newsroom is a left-wing site, by the way. Under the proposed law, schools would have to inform communities of what they plan to teach, good, and how those classes would be delivered, good. Parents would retain the right to remove their children from sexuality education classes, good. But the proposed changes are part of some bill that was introduced to Parliament on Monday, passed its first reading on Tuesday. And then they talk about the fact there's been pushback against the changes to the curriculum. Did they quote Family First? No, of course not. No, they quoted LGBTQIA plus groups and sexual wellbeing, Aotearoa, which is family planning. Yes, who are very annoyed. But when Newsroom asked Winston Peters whether he believed parents should still be consulted rather than informed, he responded, of course. And he went on to point that the bill would go through a select committee process where the public and parents would be able to have their say. Well, we will be, exactly right. ACT leader and Associate Education Minister David Seymour said he supported the proposed changes, adding there were some things around RSE that the government wanted to see taught consistently across the country. But he also said parents should be consulted on what was in the curriculum. The question was whether that happened at a national level or a school board level. Chris Hipkins backed the changes, said it was important for all kids to get a good foundation in sex education. It's no longer something that should be optional. Isn't that a typical Labor statement? Yes, force everybody into it. But he said parents should still be informed of what their children were being taught. Now, an ERO review of RSE under the old curriculum guidelines found that despite the consultation requirement, parents in whānau didn't always have access to good information about what was being taught, which made them more likely to think the children should not be taught sex ed at school. Actually, quite the opposite, Newsroom. it actually made parents more wary of what was being taught because they found out what was in the curriculum. Some parents didn't realise they had the right to remove their children from sex ed classes, while not all schools understood their obligations to consult and provide good quality information to parents and communities. Perhaps that's the answer. Perhaps schools just need to do their job and consult, inform parents better that they can remove their kids. But yeah, government's got a fight on their hands because parents need to be involved in the process. This is a particular area of the curriculum where parental values are very important, especially at the local community level. All right, now another wacky story, this time from the UK. Apparently climate change, this is the excuse for drug use. Climate change could be behind increased drug use and risk of mental health issues, according to a government report. The report was by the UK Health Security Agency, and it suggests that eco-fear, which is climate alarmism, eco-fear, could lead to drug abuse as people try to manage their emotions around climate change. And it also said it has also linked climate change fears, also called eco-guilt, eco-grief, and eco-anger, to increased risks of certain mental health concerns such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah, so apparently the next excuse for the Greens to have their drugs is climate change. You can connect the dots and you can see where this is all going, can't you? Now, I thought, I always think that just sounds too wacky to be true, right? So I went looking for the source document. I do that on most stories these days because I just don't trust what I read in the media and also on social media. I think we need to use discernment. So I went looking for the source document from the UK Health Security Agency, and yep, there it is. And yep, there's all the terms: eco-guilt, eco-grief, eco-anger, all due to climate alarmism. Okay, the report was probably written by Greta Thunberg. So anyway, carry on. Okay, here's the story of the day. The Conversation has published an article, and so the media picked this up because it was such a wacky article. But it said that nappy changes are not just a chore to rush through. You can use them to teach RSE and teach consent. Nappy changes, yes. And let me just read some extracts from this. If you're a young mum about to change the nappies, or there's been a poo-splosion or something like that, this is probably not an article you want to listen to because it's going to make you see red. There has been a lot of focus on the need to teach older children about consent, but parents should not wait until kids are teenagers to talk about appropriate touching or how everyone has the right to say what happens to the body. In fact, the earlier parents talk about it, the better. You can start teaching little ones about consent even before they can talk. Yeah, 0, 1. Nappy changes. Perfect time can be a time to learn about consent and how their bodies work. At the start of a nappy change, ensure your child knows what is happening. Get down to their level and say, "You need a nappy change," and then pause so they can take this in and figure out, do they give their consent? I added that bit. Then you say, "Do you want to walk, crawl with me to the change table, or would you like me to carry you?" So accommodating. Observe their facial expressions and body language to check if they understand what is happening. Aim to be positive, gentle, and responsive to your child. I mean, it sounds like a lecture from mum to a kid about to attend their first birthday party, doesn't it? But it's important children notice when someone is touching their most intimate parts. Remember, we're talking about nappy changes for 0, 1, 2, 3. So try to use similar language and follow regular nappy changing routines that involve children in conversation. For example, "Can you please lift up your bottom so I can slide your nappy out?" I mean, next they'll be asking if they would like to play with their poop. Do they need to ask permission? I mean, okay. These habits plant the seed of the idea that a child has the right to say what happens to their body. In other words, "Mum, I don't want you to change my nappy. I'm quite happy with all this build-up in my nappy. Thank you very much. Never mind the stink." Now, of course, some nappy changes may need to be more rushed. Be kind to yourself if every nappy change isn't a perfect moment of connection. and relationship, sexuality and education teaching. I added that bit. Talks about using the correct anatomical terms, vulva, penis, anus. Parents may feel uncomfortable and think more childish names should be used. Yeah, there's always this push for this. Unfortunately, adults have perverted some of those names. Kids can identify, they can point. Those childish names are actually very common. So once again, give kids simple choices. Away from the change table, look for ways to provide opportunities for children to have choice and a sense of agency and autonomy in everyday life situations. We're talking about kids who need their nappies changed, by the way, just to remind you. This helps nurture their independence and can reduce power struggles. Yes, the power struggle between a 0 or 1 year old versus mum or dad. And then basically they say, keep asking, giving options. What is it? Some examples could be, do you want to wear your blue or your yellow shirt today? Do you want apple or pear? What is this? Blimmin', buffet? Do you want to go to the park or walk around the block? I mean, no wonder people only want to have one kid when they read this stuff. Finally, you should not force your kids to hug other adults or relatives if they don't want to. Sometimes you may have no choice. For example, picking up a child before crossing a busy road when actually giving them a hug. Yeah. I mean, if they're going to run across the motorway, give your kid a helmet, make them safer. I mean, okay, some dumb logic there. Now, look, this isn't the first time this wacky ideology has come up. I found this clip from 2018 in Australia where some woman from Body Safe Australia said that babies should give consent for their nappies being changed.
How young are some of the children you talk to?
We work from children from 3 years old. We work with parents from birth.
From birth?
Yeah. Just about how to set up a culture of consent in their homes. So I'm going to change your nappy now. Is that okay? Of course, the baby's not going to respond, yes, Mum, that's awesome. I'd love to have my nappy changed. But if you leave a space and wait for body language and wait to make eye contact, then you're letting that child know that their response matters.
Whew. Okay, the hair colour gives it away, doesn't it? Anyway, someone's being funny. Darren says, what a load of BS. There's a double entendre on that comment. Okay, right. Let's keep going. Right. Social media. Time is flying. Social media. This is a study in America, but I'm just glad we're having this conversation finally. And what it says is that most Americans support restricting kids' access to social media and pornography, but many parents are not monitoring their children's online activity. So this is part of the annual American Family Survey from Brigham Young. They found that more than 75% of participants want pornography websites to verify the ages of their consumers. Should be 100% in my view. Nearly 80% want social media companies to obtain parent consent before a minor can create a social media account. Once again, should be 100 in my view. 3 in 4 support holding social media companies legally liable for harm caused by content marketed to minor. Well, that shouldn't be 100%, that should be 150%, right? So parents support some of these basic safeguards, but the survey also showed many parents don't limit their children's access to technology at all, let alone discuss strategies. Some of the strategies were, there's 5 of them: limiting their children's screen time, restricting the kinds of content they consume, requiring them to keep their online accounts private, restricting who they contact, and limiting who they exchange private messages with. And parents have just backed off from this. They're not supervising. Would you supervise who comes into your child's bedroom through the window? Of course you would. And yet parents are not supervising what kids are doing online. And yeah, basically, I mean, you could say, okay, technically they don't know how to and kids are doing it secretly, but there are programs around, and that's where I'd love parents to be more educated in this and how to monitor and why they need to monitor. Are parents just being lazy about this, or is there another reason? Anyway, I'm interested to know your thoughts on that. There's also an article in the Herald today talking about the fact that parents are feeling overwhelmed. the thing I like about all of this is that we are finally having the discussion, because this has been going on since mid-2010s. 2014, we put out a report saying that kids were having too much screen time. The media just laughed at our report, but we've been proved right. Right, Disney has ditched diversity and DEI in their business report for the first time since 2019. Their latest report, you cannot find the words diversity and DEI. Apparently, first time. So there we are. That's a very good trend. And the other thing is that movie to recommend, I just saw this, Netflix In Your Dreams. Apparently, there's a lot of dodgy stuff on Netflix. In fact, somebody sent me an example of one just this morning. Something on Netflix about a cake, a slice of cake or something, which is dodgy as. But In Your Dreams is an animated adventure about two siblings who journey through the landscape of their own subconscious. It's a film. That's not the bit. It's basically about pursuing your dreams, and it's about dealing with fear. And it's about how pain and fear can become one's best teachers, a lesson that feels strikingly biblical, even if the film never mentions faith directly. But anyway, that has been recommended on some of the websites where I would take their recommendations. So, some good stuff. Right. Barack Obama's, right, let's just finish with a couple of clips here. We're just about out of time. Barack Obama's wife, Michelle, has been going around on her whining tour. And the latest thing she whined about is the reason she's not standing for president is vote for a woman. Have a listen to what she says, and then I'll give you my response.
Look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. You know, we got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it.
Yeah. The only problem with this argument by Michelle, I've got a couple of responses. Helen Clark, Julia Gillard, Jacinda Ardern, Meloni in Italy, all women. Japan's new prime minister, woman. So Michelle Obama is just whining. The argument doesn't work. Female political leaders can happen. Doesn't mean they're good. The problem for Michelle is that the two women candidates that they put up, Clinton and Harris, Kamala Harris, they were both awful, atrocious politicians, candidates. And if you want to thank Trump for doing anything, it was the fact that he stopped Clinton being the president, Hillary Clinton, and he stopped Kamala Harris being the president. Imagine if Kamala Harris had won that election. Okay, there's an imagination for you. One other clip that I saw that I just want to show you is, so there's this guy called John Fetterman. He's a Democrat, and he had a stroke in 2022, so 3 years ago. So he's a Democrat. He's a lefty, right? And he was on CNN, and for him, he's voted for a couple of things that the Republicans have promoted, but only they figured out it was about 6% of his vote has been pro-Republican. The rest is all Democrat policy, right? So he's not a traitor as such. But anyway, he was on CNN, lefty CNN, fake news CNN, and have a listen to what John Fetterman, this Democrat congressman, says about the left versus the right. Because if you believe the media, it's the right, it's the conservative right that are the toxic ones and go on the attack, and the misogynists and the mean tweets and all that type of stuff. Have a listen to what John Fetterman says.
He said, quote, "I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left." That is pretty remarkable to hear you say that as an elected Democrat. Why?
No. It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms. Really, what's kind of the harshest? What's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. He said, "Oh, blue sky. It's blue sky." And the difference is, the right would say really rough things and names. Some names I won't won't repeat on TV, but the on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke, or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. I mean, they even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head, cheering at that. Yeah, and they said that. I remember one. They claimed, the doctor let us down, and why did they have to save his life? I mean, just really like I just can't imagine. People are wishing, I wish he dies, or I want him to die. Literally cheering for a stroke. And I don't know what the kind of a place where that comes from. I mean, that's much different than just calling me a name. That's really been consistent, in that community online.
Yeah, incredible. So that's someone from the left calling out the left for their toxic discourse, which is kind of interesting. As someone's just commented, sounds a bit like Te Pāti Māori and some of the language coming out of there. All right, just before I go, this Saturday, just if you're in Wellington, I'm actually going to be down there at the Influence Seminar. We had one in Christchurch on Saturday. This Saturday, Victory Christian Centre, Lower Hutt, and only $10, and you get 3 for 1. You get Family First, you get Pillow with Nathan and Nick, and you get Penny Marie from Let Kids Be Kids. So there we are. That's this Saturday. We'd love to see you there. Just to finish with, a little ad for Woke University. Saw this online. Had to play this for you.
Woke State University, the U.S.'s most trusted exporter of unemployed activists with a master's degree in outrage.
I'm in the identity creation department. Every semester we pick a new gender and write a 20-page essay on why everyone else is the problem.
I just switched my major to advanced protest choreography. We learn how to chant, block traffic, and cry on TikTok, all for college credit.
I major in gender and identity theory, where we prove there are at least 97 genders. Real women are now called birthing people, so everyone's feelings stay equal.
I major in American oppression studies, Palestine, climate change, or whatever's trending this week.
There's a series of them. I'll play another one on Friday morning, okay? Anyway, I'm out of time. Have a great Wednesday. See you tomorrow night on Political Playback. And, have a good day.